Hey there, guys. Just using some of the training footage from last week as a backdrop for the audio, and yeah, look, I'm just recording this outside, so a little bit of background noise. But if I try and get everything perfect, I find it pretty hard to put any sort of video or content together. So this one is, why do I help the time poor dads, and sort of why am I catering towards them? The reality is a lot of us don't get much help at all. I mean, there's not a lot of people, and it's hard for me to even think of anyone else that's really trying to cater towards time poor dads and just trying to give us a little bit of help, motivation, direction with training. Everything else seems to be, suited or directed towards everyone else, but we tend to be the forgotten bunch. And yeah, we don't really get much of a look in or anything really put together for us or anything like that that's actually going to help us in any meaningful way. And a lot of us, we're time poor because we are dads. We're shouldering the responsibility and, working a lot. And with today's cost of living and everything going up, there's quite a lot of us that have had to pick up second jobs. And when you hit the second job, you really do, become a time poor dad. And as a result, you're a time poor dad because, you're working a lot, and, you're working a lot because you got to financially provide. So generally there's not a lot of money or, additional funds to go towards, training and getting professional help, because if there was, a fair bit of money and additional stuff, well, you wouldn't be time poor because you wouldn't have to work as much. So, yeah, we have to navigate that catch point as well. So, yeah, I'm another time poor dad. Now, I'm not as time poor as I used to be. So, definitely got a fair bit more time now. So, I'm able to, help you guys out and, even clarify a few of my own thoughts as well. One of the biggest problems that I've found, especially for me, when it came to having a busy lifestyle, is trying to chase the elusive dream of having the perfect training program for being a time poor dad and your current situation. The reality is, the longer you try and work things out on paper, try and make it all click, the more time you're going to waste. And then life's going to throw a few spanners in the works, like it always does, even once you put a good plan together. So the concept of a 7-day training week is not a very good idea when it comes to training. Having anywhere between 5 to 8 days as your training week actually works a lot better. As long as you're going heavy once every 5 to 8 days, it's very easy to make forward progress. Sometimes, you might do heavy bench on a Monday, but, you might get to the end of the week and then Saturday afternoon, freeze up, you've got nothing planned, you've got extra time, and, you feel recovered. Like, that's an ideal time to do another heavy bench press session. Yeah, it's not on the Monday, but if you've recovered, you've recovered. So that's another point, that we need to touch on as well, is getting recovery down point. Because if you can get your recovery, on point, then it means, training heavy every, 5 days if you get the opportunity, or 8 days if you're a bit more time poor. You might have, work on the Monday, and then Monday's training gets pushed out to Tuesday. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens. So, yeah, trying to get that, concept of, training with a 7-day working week it's not a great idea. So I'd move away from that. The other thing that I try and do in terms of structuring training, that's what I'm doing now. So Monday I've got bench press, for example. I'll do 2 heavy sets for bench and then 2 back off sets. And then after that I move on to squats. Now, ideally doing heavy upper body and lower body in the same day, it's, for the vast majority of population, it's not really a good idea, but it's only because they generally have more time and they have the ability to put training on different days. Now, if you're time poor, you want to get your heavy upper body done first, and then you do heavy lower body. So the reason I put upper body first is it's not as taxing, and then generally by the time you've done your heavy lower body movement, you feel pretty spent. Last thing you want to do is put heavy squats first, because if you do those, then you just feel spent for the rest of the time that you have. So yeah, look, I like doing my heavy bench press first, the back offsets, and then hitting heavy lower body, in my case squats. Whatever energy I have left over, I just put into assistant exercises. That then essentially frees up the rest of my training week. At the end of the day, I've done my heavy upper body and I've done heavy lower body. I'm good to go for another, 5 days. So with those other few days, Tuesday, I'll always get a little bit of time. I knock out my pull-ups, I can do some bicep curls, I can muck around with some very light shoulder stuff, do some, additional exercises for the health of my rotator cuffs. It's pretty much a free ticket to do what you want, because you've already got your important exercises out the way for the week. Wednesday, I coach at the gym. Sometimes, depending how I feel, I might do some light front squats, I might just do some core work. It really comes down to how much energy I have, and what has and hasn't recovered. Thursday rocks around and I generally like to do my heavy overhead press. Chest still hasn't recovered from the bench press, but delts generally feel pretty good, so I'll hit a few heavy sets of the overhead press. I keep the reps on the higher side, because if I go really low rep like I did on the Monday, shoulders won't recover in time for my heavy bench press session on the Monday or even possibly the Tuesday. So I always keep that in mind. And as long as I'm going higher rep on those exercises, the recovery isn't too bad. I don't feel it, deep within the muscle tissue, if that makes sense. It's not like that deep level of fatigue. It's something that's pretty easy to shake. And then nutrition-wise, the biggest thing that I'd say is concentrate on hitting, 100 grams of protein in the first half of the day. For some people, or of late for me, it's just been a litre of the high protein milk, and I'll have 2 chicken schnitzels, which I'm having around breakfast time now. So by the time I've done that, I've gone well over the 100, grams of protein in the morning. And that's ensuring that, I've got the protein there to help the body recover. In terms of, the rest of my food intake, I'll pack in some muesli bars, some apples, bananas, and then generally either get something from the Smoko truck, or I'll just bring something from home, which could have been the leftovers from the night before as a meal. So it's not too hard. And when I get home, just have a decent meal, whatever it is. Generally for me, it's a stir fry of some sort, because it's already been cooked. And, it makes it really easy to get quality nutrition in that way. And then the evening meal, again, there's always some sort of meat and veggie or meat and rice or something like that. But yeah, it's more at the start of the day, focusing on that 100 grams of protein and getting that in as a quality food source. The more you're able to achieve that, the better your recovery is going to be. And if you get your recovery down point, it makes training a lot easier. And as I said, don't chase the elusive training program. So that's just a brief take on it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, have a great day wherever you are.